Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome. Welcome to our sandwich session. I wasn't here this morning for the orientation, but the important thing is that the orientation doesn't end there. It continues. We'll get to know each other as we progress. For me, there are quite a number of very known faces. Some my elder brothers, some my younger brothers, some my former students. So it's quite a very good feeling for me to be here today. So yes, this is a combined class for MSc Accounting and MSc Procurement and Supply Chain Management. And the course is Business Information Systems. Am I loud enough? So the fundamentals of this course is to provide you an idea of how technology can be applied in business settings. The idea is that almost everybody who is embarking on this course has some touch of some work experience, and how we leverage on technology to increase our individual productivity, make informed management decisions. It has become more crucial now than before because of the prevalence of technology in almost everything at all we do. So we're going to be touching on several issues surrounding the issues of technology in business generally, and in accounting, finance, procurement, and many other areas in particular. That is why we don't hold it as separate classes. Now, one interesting part about this course is the fact that you will not be learning anything technical. So if you don't have any IT background, don't think that we're going to be learning how to program, how to repair computers, and how to do technical things. No. We're just going to leverage on technology in our individual lives, how we can leverage on technology in organizational settings. And as managers, if you ask some basic things about how you can use technology to improve productivity or transform your business processes, at least you should have these ideas to guide you. So that is what the course is about. And to do that, we will go through a number of sessions. And then as my colleagues would have indicated earlier this morning, the sandwich session is from 8 to 10 weeks with exam and revision inclusive. So the maximum number of sessions or lectures we extol our colleagues to do or have is if you don't do at all 7, you must. 10 topics will be too much. So maximum 7. I will give it, these materials are prepared for you. So I usually would say that don't try to write everything that I say, but just listen. The lectures are also recorded. Last year lectures were recorded, similar topics. This year too, I'll record as I forgot to. We usually record our lectures so that even if you don't have the time to sit and read, as you are on about with your work, family life, you can listen to some of them whilst you are jogging or doing something else. So we usually will record them. So the recorded lectures are all there. And this session is also being recorded. So what do we intend to cover specifically? We intend to look at quite a number of things. And before that, also during the orientation, you would have been told that the grade or the scale for assessment in UDS or postgraduate students, the minimum pass mark is 60. It's 60. But considering the caliber of people who do our MBA, MSc, and other programs, postgraduate programs, the minimum pass mark is split. So 100% for the entire paper, but 40% continuous assessment. So the continuous assessment can just be little quizzes, little assignments, or just one term paper. You do it in groups or individually, and you submit for the 40 marks. And then you battle for the 60 in the exam. The idea behind a postgraduate course is not to see how you can chew and pour, but how you can apply. That is why I insist that let's talk. Let's just discuss some of the issues. If you don't understand, I'll try as much as possible, and my colleagues do that as well, to use real work examples or real life examples so that you can remember them instead of just sitting down as we used to do during undergraduate, learn everything. No, this is not going to be, it's not going to be so. Whilst we are also embarking on this course, I think it's an opportunity for us to network and connect. The class is bigger than this. You said the research methods class is a combined class for all the MSCs. Some of your colleagues are attending lectures on weekends. So we have, I think, close to about 60 students overall in terms of the MSc, and you would all be put on one platform. There should be an opportunity for you to network, get to know each other, know where somebody else is working, so that you just don't know. Something will come up. Yes. Yeah, so today, being an introductory, well, I didn't even introduce myself. That's quite, I just assumed, considering the known faces in the class, I assumed that my name is Ibrahim Osman Adam. So the lecturer for this, I'm a professor of information systems, and I'm the dean of the School of Business. I couldn't join this morning, but I think the vice dean was there, Professor Haruna, and the HODs. Yes. So one other important thing we do is we operate a very open door policy, because you are not kids. We are not kids either. So we deal with our postgraduate students in a very professional manner. It is difficult for some of you to take leave and come here. Maybe you have just sneaked here. In some cases, you don't even want your boss to know that you are starting. So if you are faced with some kind of a circumstance that would let you miss class or miss something, just tell us. Just let us know. We are human enough to understand, and we will make amends to support you. It's a crash course, so you also have to bear with us. At least by the 4th week, you would see the volume of material, a lot, and it can be quite daunting for you to deal with. So today, we are going to be trying to understand some basic things. And this is a course almost everybody would have done at the undergraduate level. Some form of IT, introduction to IT, introduction to information systems, or just management information systems at the undergraduate level. We want to elevate the discussion based on the foundations you would have gotten from that. But I will try to make a lot of things very simple, easier to understand, and easier to relate. So today we are going to be trying to understand what we mean by information systems, and then how it is changing. What we call information systems is changing the nature of business and our professions today. Then we'll also try to understand some basic concepts, like the concept of the systems theory and how we can use it to understand what we mean by information systems. In this part, we'll also try to say that when we say information systems, it's not the same as information technology. So hopefully, by the end of today's class, you should know that information technology, information systems, they are two separate concepts and they refer to different things. Then, if we have time, we will look at how information systems are changing business and why they are very important. We'll also argue that there are several perspectives we can use to guide our understanding of what an information system is. So then, after that basic understanding, we'll look at it from an organizational perspective, a technical perspective, and then we'll also look at it from a management perspective. This perspective will guide us because, for instance, if you look at the nature of an organization, what the top level management, the sort of technology they deal with, even if it is the same software, the interface they have to, or the dashboards they see, is different from the guy at the bottom, the security guy, or the shop floor employee. So there's a management perspective. Even when it comes to the acquisition of the technology, there's a management perspective. Apart from that, there's also a technology aspect. That is where the issues of the hardware and the software would come in. And then there's also an organizational perspective. With this perspective, it won't matter whether you are at the top, you are in the middle, or you are, the technology must serve all of us. Then we'll also say that even if you understand what information technology is, or what information systems are, and you go back to your organization as the CEO, and you see the need to introduce technology to improve organizational productivity, we would argue that that is not enough. Investing in technology per se is not enough to get the optimal returns from the technology. So a corner shop, you are sharing your shop with another one just by the roadside, and you see that they have invested in maybe a desktop. They have they have invested in a desktop and some technology, and now they are electronically tagging all their products. So you also hurriedly go and buy, you find out from the shop attendants, what's the name of that PC you guys are using? What's the name of the scannable, whatever? Then you also just go, because you have the money, you buy and you also install. We are saying that you may not be making the optimal investment in the technology, because you would have to consider, one, your business strategy. Where do you want to take your business? That's one. You also have to consider whether there are some other assets you can invest in, so that when you acquire this technology, you will be able to maximize the use of it to get the maximum returns. In that case, we'll be looking at another category of assets apart from the IT assets. We refer to this category of assets as complementary assets. So we'll try to understand what they mean and how they can bring value to the organization. So hopefully that's what we will do today, quite a lot. Then tomorrow we will look at global e-business and collaboration. Here we will argue that whatever we do in the organization, the idea would be for technology to come and impact the business. So here, tomorrow we will argue that the impact can be seen from two perspectives. Either you already have some business processes that you want to streamline and you bring in technology, or you want to just completely transform your business. You can also bring in technology. So here we'll be looking at incremental impact and transformational impact, how all of this can, the introduction of technology can improve business processes. Then we would say that for the optimum returns to be attained from technology, either at the individual level or at the organizational level, there is the need for us to work together, collaboration. Collaboration is key, individually or even at the organizational level. So we'll look at the concept of collaboration, collaborative technology, and how some mediating factors can influence technology and the organization. Why are we interested in this? We're interested in this because by the close of today, we would have painted a picture that there's an organizational perspective, technology, there's management perspective, and there's a technology aspect. So with this particular foundation, we will now argue that certain things can act as mediators between technology and the organization. And maybe we can say that the organization can shape technology, or technology can shape the organization. These are things we will argue about when we get there. Then we would also say that the introduction of technology should be guided by strategy, as I have indicated. Everything we do should be guided by strategy. So we'll draw on Michael Porter's competitive forces model and other concepts, like the concept of synergies, the concept of the value chain, to see how competitively we can use technology, or strategy can help us in introducing technology. Then the fourth one, so this will be, so you see that every day one lecture, right? So this would be about Thursday. We'll look at ethical and social issues in the information system. Here, we would also say that, look, first lecture, we would have understood what we mean by IT, information systems. Second lecture, how it can influence business in terms of incremental, transformational. Third lecture, we'll be talking about strategy and information system. Fourth lecture, we'll be saying that, even if strategically I introduce technology in my organization, it has a lot of implications. The implications, look, some organizations can introduce technology and it will slow down everything, the work processes. Because people are spending a lot of time doing social media with the technology, or doing other things, playing what's the name of that guy? Game, Solitaire, or watching. It can slow down organizational processes. So it can have ethical implications. I'll give you one funny example. There's one of our colleagues, senior colleagues, holding a top position. And somebody was making a joke. He said, as a director, anytime you go, he's watching wrestling. Meanwhile, there's a big giant screen in front of him to work. But for some reason, anytime people go there, either YouTube, he's watching something funny, not necessarily working. So we are saying that introducing the technology, it has some implications. Ethical, it can be social, it can even be political. Why political? Look at it at the national level. The introduction of technology by parties in government They do that because they want their cake back. So they won't come down to us and ask us what we need. They just do it, get their, and they move on. Next government count, they disband it and then move on. So that's a political implication. Social. When you get up first thing in the morning, what do? Aja, you pray. Aja, tell us the truth. You pick your phone. You pick your phone to check your messages. Yeah, so there's some implication there. Our kids, yeah, some of our kids these days, they become hyper when you take, especially toddlers, when you take away their tablets because of the addiction they are experiencing with the technology. So we look at a lot of ethical, social issues here. Then this would have laid a foundation for us to understand information systems, organizations, and management. Then the part two, we'll look at technology infrastructure. There are a lot of things sometimes you would hear in the organization, especially with our IT guys. You know, they never want you to know exactly what they are doing. If you are somebody with an IT background, you know it's true. When there's a problem and you call the IT guy, he will just come down. He doesn't want you to know exactly. Yes. So it is important that we understand as managers some basic infrastructure terminologies regarding IT infrastructure, because this forms the basis of everything technology is about. So we'll look at basic things. What do we mean by the internet? What do we mean by the intranet? What do we mean by the extranet? Basic things. So under this particular topic, our focus would be, for instance, someone says he is connected to the internet. His laptop or phone is connected to the internet. But when he goes to Ghana Web, it says page cannot be displayed. He cannot understand why. So he goes to check data. Data is 10 gig. Till he comes back, then he says, Master, Ghana Web, it's like it's not working today. And you check, meanwhile, you have access. Basic things, we should be able to understand that there is a difference between getting the connection and getting access to the information. There are two different things. So the internet, the World Wide Web, here we'll try to understand that they are not the same and how can they shape what we do. Then the fifth one will be about protecting the information system. How can you protect it? What even makes the system vulnerable? So we'll discuss the issue of vulnerability. How can your system be vulnerable? So why are information systems vulnerable to destruction, error, and abuse? Vulnerability comes from several levels. For instance, you may not have done anything to your PC, but just the sheer fact that the software you are using was developed with a flaw, your use of that application would be problematic, but it wasn't your fault. And because it was developed with a flaw, if you enter transactions, the transactions will be miscalculated. It means the software is what? Vulnerable from the start, but not from you. You can also cause vulnerability to the system. For instance, you may have gone into shops like Franco, and you see that a mobile phone is put behind a glass, or is hooked with a cable. A laptop is hooked. Why do you think they do this? They do this because they feel that because of the portability of the device, it is vulnerable. Not for internal security breaches, but someone can steal it. So security, when we're looking at security information, we can look at it from the lay point of view, in terms of the physical theft of the device or breaching the security of the contents of the device. Then we'll also look at the components of an organizational framework for security and control. Then we'll now look at some key applications. So we'll look at, under this particular session, we'll look at issues of e-procurement, where we'll look at the issue of e-invoicing, e-auction, and many others. Then we'll also look at the concept of e-commerce. And a lot of the things under e-procurement can come under what? Electronic commerce. Here, we'll be interested in trying to explain. When we say e-commerce, what do we mean? Is it the same as e-business? We'll try to understand that. Then we'll look at we'll also look at the concept of what we refer to as digital markets and digital goods. Because if we are moving away from the traditional marketplace where everything is physical, and we are moving to the digital marketplace where everything is almost virtual, that means That virtual marketplace must also offer a different, unique good, a digital good, not the traditional physical good. So for us, some of us here, when a new track is released, you go online, you have a platform, and you purchase it from there. That music track is a digital good. As compared to traditionally, you would go looking for the CD from IK or whatever to buy. But because of the changes in technology, a lot of things are offered in the digital marketplace, and what they offer there are called digital goods. So we'll try to explain what we mean by digital goods and a lot of things. Apart from that, you realize that these days, even when e-commerce first started around the 90s, the early 90s, a lot of the buying and selling were not as complex as we see today. You could go to a website, see products, but you can't pay for it online. These days, you can pay for it online. To the extent that even now, you don't need a laptop to buy and pay online. Just your mobile device, you'll be able to do that. So that also brings into context the concept of mobile commerce. Even to the extent that, even still under mobile commerce or e-commerce broadly, a lot of us here, if you have bought a phone, a laptop, or a car, and you no longer need it, and you want to advertise, people are no longer interested in going to a garage or a shop. You just post it, take a picture, post it on your status, and wait. So also, it brings into focus another concept, social business, our over-reliance on social networking technologies to buy and sell. People do business, and you won't find their shop anywhere because they are just leveraging on what? Social media to do that. Though it also comes with its advantages and disadvantages. Then, if we have time, we'll look at how we can achieve operational excellence and customer intimacy by relying on enterprise applications. Overall, this course is supposed to enhance decision-making, leveraging on what? Technology. So whether you are an accountant, you are a procurement specialist, you are an HR guy, when you are relying on IT in your organization, it is to enhance what? Your decision-making. A long time ago, when people occupied management positions, maybe after the end of a tenure, you go, another person comes. The next person who comes, people may likely say that, I think even now it happens. If you assume a new office and you do things uniquely, people may tell you that, that's not the way we do it, tradition. They want you to go. So we are saying that now that technology has become very prevalent everywhere, we no longer want to just manage by intuition or tradition, what used to happen. We are moving away from that form of management to what? Management by information. So whatever you do should be guided by the data that is available to you. That's good. And how can you do that? You can do that by relying on technology. Technology will help you to do that. So this provides an introduction about what the course is all about. I now want to start the first. Oh, you know what I've done? I didn't unmute myself on Zoom. Can you hear me now? Those online. Those online, can you hear me?
Yes, Doc. Those online, can you hear me? Yes, Doc.
Were you
hearing me from the beginning? Yes, Doc.
Did you say yes?
Were you hearing me from the beginning? Yes, Doc. Yes, Doc.
Hello, Gani.
Prof.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Prof.
You can hear me. Okay, all right. Then that's not a mistake. And can you see my screen as well? Confirm if you can see my screen. So I'm here.
I'm just seeing the IT. I'm just seeing the IT. It just has gone blank. Okay, I can see your screen now.
Okay, I think they can see my screen. Okay, yes. So can you see my screen, can you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, all right, so we'll start the first lecture. And as I indicated, today's lecture is just to understanding information systems. I'm going to be slow so that we'll pick every little bit of whatever we need to know. So we are going to be guided by these objectives. By the end, in the next 45 to 50 minutes, if I ask what is an information system, everybody should be able to say, we are referring to anything. Then how does it work? We should be able to explain that basically. What are its management, organizational, and technology components? And then why are complementary assets essential for ensuring that information systems provide genuine value for organizations? And then how are information systems transforming business? And then the last but not the least, why are they so essential for running and managing a business today? And to set the tone to explain these concepts, I want to use this picture. Anybody knows what this picture represents? What does it represent? It's a spaceship, yes. So imagine you are the captain of a spaceship, and this spaceship is called the UDS SOB spaceship. And you are navigating the vast expanse of our solar system. And your mission is to explore whether there are new worlds, people are living elsewhere. That's your mission. So that you can make a diplomatic contact with the aliens, if there's an alien civilization elsewhere. So that, and whilst you are doing that, you want to ensure that those who are traveling with you, your crew, about 1,000 of them, they are also what? They are safe. And as you sit in the captain's chair, manning this spaceship, a lot of things are happening. You are surrounded by various screens. So if an asteroid is coming to hit the spaceship, one of the screens you'll be able to tell. If the fuel is going low, one of the screens you will be able to tell. Now, basically what you are confronted with in terms of the various screens and the back ends that ensure that the sensors outside the system detect a lot of things, you are confronted with what we refer to as an information system. Why are we describing it as such? Because whilst you are doing that, the screens show you a lot of data. For instance, if there's an asteroid that is almost about to collapse, you'll be able to tell because of the data that will be presented to you through what? The sensors. There are sensors throughout which will gather data and tell you. Apart from that, the data is not only detecting that there's an asteroid or your fuel consumption is becoming lower. It processes it and it tells you maybe the amount of fuel that is left can take you for another 1 light year or 20,000 kilometers. So the data is processed and presented to you in some way. Then when it is processed and presented to you, it is presented to you through some what we call dashboard, through some screens. So you have several screens, just like in our cars, we have a dashboard. So when your fuel consumption goes low, it tells you. For some cars, considering the quantity of fuel in it, it will tell you that you can go for 3 miles. After that, you are likely, yes. So there's information displayed. Then you make decisions based on that. So if you are the captain of the spaceship or the captain or the driver of the vehicle, considering the fuel consumption level, you may either decide to now turn off your AC or do certain things. You take some action because the screens, the data that is processed and given to you helps you to what? To support the decisions what you take. Then there's also communication. The system facilitates communication between different units or departments. Now, based on all of this information, you can predict a lot of things. You can predict that the journey you intended to embark, you can't earn it. If it's a car, you may have to stop and do what? Top up. Or abandon the journey completely, depending on what analytics or what data is available to you. So predictive analysis is also very important. So all of us, either in our individual lives or in our work lives, we occupy one position or the other. Individually, we make some decisions based on data constantly, every day. A lot of the things that helps us to make these decisions consist of what? An information system. Still, to put the understanding of information systems easily for you, I ask you this question: what is a system? At our level, when you are asked a question and you don't know how to explain it, what do? You give an example. Yes. So maybe you will have noticed that they call news file or whatever, they call someone, they ask him, he doesn't know how to explain it technically. So he just starts giving examples. So what's a system? An example of a system is an educational system. That's a system. An example of a system is what? A sound system, hi-fi. So give me examples of systems. So based on that, what is a system? So you see that whether it is an educational system or a political system or a hi-fi, it has several, yes, components. That's a word. It has several components. But for it to actually work as a system, the components must what? Interplay. That interplay is very critical. Good. For every system, there is a subsystem. Political system. If you look at Ghana's political party system, there's the political party, there's a constituent. So you see that there are, if you look at the hi-fi as a system, there's a cassette unit or CD unit, speaker unit, and many other. If you look at the mobile phone as a system, the screen is one part, battery is one part, charging port, several parts. Anything at all we consider as a system will have these characteristics. It would also have an interface. The interface is basically the point at which the external environment interacts with the system. So if I pick this and I don't open it up, I cannot make a phone call because the screen is what? The interface. So it is the point at which I can what? Interact with, I can feed something into the system. And that also brings into focus another feature. All systems accept some input. They process it and they bring it out as output. So if the screen is the interface and it accepts an input through touch, it will process it and change or bring up an app or make a phone call. When the call goes through, the output would be that I would hear something. That is what? An output. Systems, even there's a spacecraft. You can imagine the quantity or number of computers that manages a spacecraft and the amount of technology or quantity of technology that manages a mobile phone. If you compare that, you see that this one is just a small system. But that is a big super what? System. We can look at systems from two perspectives. Examples of these systems we have given, some are physical, like the mobile phone. Some are intangible, like the political system or educational system. The digestive system is physical, right? The respiratory system. But there are, so two categories. Systems can either be abstract or what? Or concrete, physical, right? So this is an example of a system, layman point of view. And this is an example of a system. But we are saying that in this course, we are not interested in this kind of system. We're interested in what? This one, the computer system, right? So the hard part, the soft part, we are looking at it in the context of what? A computer system. But so the moment we just hear system, we know that there are other components. So what will be the component? So when I say information system, we are getting closer to that. Now, usually, we just don't say information system. You will hear many people say management information system, right? So what we are doing is that we are picking the first word, system, to explain. Now let's come to the second one. information. I said I knew a lot of people in this class, but some I don't know. Even those I know, if I had come here without greeting anybody and I just started saying a whole lot of things, those who know me, they will say that, oh, you don't want to tell here. Is the guy mad? Because this is not the Ibrahim we know. Because what I'm saying doesn't make sense to you. But I may just be saying, I'm assuming I came in and I was saying water bottle, mobile phone, t-shirt, blue, fan. You think I'm mad. But in actual fact, the things I am mentioning are what? Facts. They are there, not so. Yeah, so they are representations of things that actually what exist. I would have been giving you data. But if I come in and I say that my name is Socio and so, I occupy this position, I'm going to take you through this. I am presenting to you something that is what? Processed. It makes meaning. And that is the difference between what? Data and what? And information. Now, look at this diagram. On this side, quite a lot of the things I was mentioning. They say 331, bright dish soap. 173, milk cat, bright dish soap, country ham, peary mustard. I mean, if I came in and I was mentioning these things, no sense. But if I come here and I start saying that based on item 331 with a description, bright dish soap, 7,156 units were sold. You see that it makes sense. This is information, and this is what? Data. And we are saying that it is the information system that transforms the data into what? Information. Now we have different categories. But before that, let's look at this word, knowledge. We say this guy is knowledgeable, and the other one is not. Because the one who is knowledgeable is able to do what? A lot of information. He's able to assimilate a lot of information into a coherent framework. But that is also informed by a lot of things. This guy's understanding, his past experience, and what we usually would call opinion. That's why we say this guy is more knowledgeable. So you read the same lecture material, you present it differently than the other. That makes you what? More knowledgeable than the other. So the distinction between three terms, data, information, and what? And what? And knowledge. So I've explained this. Now, when we say information system, what do we mean then? Before we can explain that, let's look at the term we know we have been hearing a lot, information technology. When we say information technology, we are just talking about hardware, software. Let me see if there's a marker here, hardware and software. Yes. So hardware and software, that's information technology. So we are saying that in, hold on. two different kinds of feedback. Let me be a bit. That is, oh, I have to reshare, right? Oh. Okay. That's two. Oh, got it. Okay. Yeah. So this is a typical example of how an information system is. In an organizational setting, the information system will do what? Take some input, process, classify, arrange, calculate, and take it back, feedback, improve the system. Okay. Now that we know information, we know system, information technology. How is it different from information and communication technology, ICT? Is it the same? So when we have the IT, hardware and software, just like this, if the hardware and software can process data, fine, IT, and it can go a step further to communicate it, then it becomes what? An ICT. Yes. So basic things we need to know. Technology is a non-human entity. Anytime we are talking about tech, it's a non-human entity. So your hand is not technology. It's because it's human. Technology applies knowledge. Technology does something. Okay. Now, when we are talking about ICT, we can combine quite a number of things. Technology can be defined as devices or techniques that apply knowledge. Then ICT can be defined as devices or technology that apply knowledge in order to process or what? Communicate it. I will never ask a question like, what is ICT like? I mean, not at this level, we won't do that, but just to help us as we progress. So the dimensions I talked about, there are three dimensions: organizational dimension, management dimension, and a technology dimension. Now, the technology dimension is the hardware, software part. And usually that's what we call the technical. The hardware, the software, and sometimes probably data. The management dimension, top-level management decisions and how it affects technology. And then the organizational dimension. All of the functional areas in an organization may need a bit of technology to do what? To improve or function. Are you getting it? So looking at the organization holistically, looking at the dimension of information systems from the top level management perspective and from the technical perspective. If we are looking at it from this perspective, then it means that we can even reclassify, leaving this, because organization and management are both social components, right? When we say social component, they involve people interacting. So if we consider this and this as social and this as technical, then we can say that the information system can be a social and technical system. Because if you look at this part is what? Technical. And this part is what? Social. So now I'm going to recategorize it. I can say that this part is the human part, right? This part. And then this part is the technical part. So the human part, I can also call it what? The social part, right? Based on this particular component will act as a bridge between the human part and the technical part so that they can be coordinated very well. Because of this basic understanding, we can describe the information system as what? A socio-technical what? System. Because the social part, people and procedure, is very important. And the technical part, hardware, software. So we always would say that an information system is a socio-technical system. You can use this to bully a lot of people. Because look, in many organizations, the perspective or the concept of an information system being socio-technical is ignored. So they just bring technology thinking that it will solve their problem. They don't care. What you do, they don't care. Management perspective, because they know that when they bring it, they will get their money. So they bring it. what you have been doing, the technology cannot improve what you were doing. It has rather slowed down work process. So what do? You abandon it, or even worse, you were getting your kickback. Fine. Technology comes, no more kickback. What will you do? You will sabotage it. But they didn't consider the fact that people were benefiting, or they considered it, but they intentionally brought it in to stop it. But because they didn't engage you, when it comes, people are likely not to, they will find a way and sabotage it. Either demonstrating against it, or they will find problem, they will make sure this thing, virus will infect. They will find a problem with the fact that it doesn't function well. Are you getting it? Because you did not, as a manager, consider the information system from a socio-technical perspective. You ignored the human part. How people will feel, how it will replace people's jobs, how it will eliminate work processes. You didn't consider that. Can you imagine this? Information technology can be introduced in an organization and some rules can become redundant. Yes. Because if you are a deputy and they bring it and now deputy has no function in the system. When you log, you don't even have access. Yeah, you are completely left out. But before the technology is introduced, they should have come to ask each and everyone, when we are bringing technology to solve all what the inefficiencies, what kind of technology do you want? And you say that, look, when the technology comes, I, as the deputy, I should be able to function like my boss when he's not there. And the system analyst will write it down. So that when he's mapping the system, he will make sure that anything at all that goes must go through the deputy before the boss. But if the boss is there, it can go through the deputy will just see, but not to act. Socio-technical view of information system is so critical to the extent that in developing countries, it is the bane of our progress in the adoption and implementation of information systems. Look at the Ghana Post GPS. Maybe you can tell us the new names they have given to the streets. What's your street name? I live in Wemba. And I think my street is Sun Street, or is it Common Street? Something like that. Common Street. Wemba, you give a street Common Street. Yeah, I mean, well, people have been using that path for ages. You could have basically come to the community, engage, and tell them that, look, we want to put street names. How do you call this street? They will give you our street and you go and put it. But they just used a system and generated it. Some are living on Cabbage Street, some on Onion Street, Banana Street. Yeah, because they completely did what? They ignored the social. Yeah, they didn't look at it. Every day in our organization, we see it because people want to chop. So they will just forget. They just want the system to come so that they will get their cut and move on. When you do that, yes, it's terrible. It's terrible. But even that, there was an existing system, Google Maps. Why not just leverage on it? But because of another perspective, eh? Yeah. So this is what we are talking about. This diagram represents the whole view of what information systems are. And then this diagram also represents the level in an organization, senior level management, middle level, and how each of them will have different needs of what. We'll expand on this tomorrow. Any question? So even if you have considered the socio-technical view and you bring in an information system, there are certain things if you don't do or invest in them it will not succeed. I want us to look at this basic section, interactive session, like DHL. We all know how they work, Ghana Post, DHL. Based on this little discussion we have had, like DHL, let's use DHL for instance. I'm not going to go into what they do because we all know they are a global delivery chain. What are the inputs, processing, and output of DHL packaging tracking system? So this packaging tracking system, we'll consider that as some information system. The people are part, the technology they use are. It's also what? The data they capture, everything is part, based on this component. So, assuming you were given a case, or maybe your organization wants to introduce some technology, you can think about the technology with respect to these particular concepts. What are the inputs, the processing, outputs of this? So for DHL, how do they capture their data? Inputs. Yeah, so depending on the type of package, how will they know the size? How will they know the weight? How do they charge you? How do they even register your product? Those are the input components of the system. When everything is done, before you leave, they will give you a tracking number. So they will have captured some data in terms of who you are, the sender information, exactly. And then they'll be able to charge you, and then they give you a tracking number. So you see that getting the input, they may use maybe a weighing machine, they may use a scanner and do a lot of things to just get the exact characteristics of that. Then in the end, they process your package and they give you a receipt as part of the output. Receipt, tracking number, all these are outputs from the system. In some instances, in our organizational settings, technology will be introduced, but a lot of these processes may still be what? Manual. So assuming they do all these things and they still look for a piece of paper, look on the, are you seeing the disconnect? Yeah. Now, another question. What technologies are used by DHL? So we have captured some of this. So the scannable, the scanners, the computers they are using, the printers, and yes. How are these technologies related to DHL's business strategy? What do you think DHL intends to achieve? To deliver goods to any part of the world. Any part of the world. So the sort of technology they invest in should be able to what? Let them achieve that strategy. So imagine a DHL and their workers, for some of them, they go to places to pick packages. Assuming they don't have the kind of technology when they get to that site to track, or to weigh, to capture the senders or the recipient details, and they have to now carry the thing and transport it back. They need some kind of technology that will be what? Closer to the kind of business they engage in. So, yes, so they will need like mobile devices to help them do that. Maybe not a mobile phone, but maybe some kind of a tablet that will help them to capture all these details. Sometimes they come to deliver a product to you. Sometimes they ask you to come for the product. When they come to deliver the product to you, they use a unique technology. And they give you something and they say that, sign. Not a piece of paper. When you sign, before they get to their office, everything is what? Recorded. Even globally, you'll be able to tell. Yeah. Yes. When ATM machines first came, computerized, when they first came, I don't know if any of you experienced that. You could take money from GCB and run to, say, EcoBank, and it's not synced yet, and you pick some money. Anybody experienced that? At the early stages, there were delays in how the banks were what? Coordinated. There were delays. Yeah. Even now, it has even gotten a bit different. Have you ever wondered why? Well, this may not be true. Have you ever wondered why, when they pay, the banks are usually crowded? Why? If you don't hurry up, you won't get cash. But some of them have an ulterior motive. Because controller will usually pay 27. Their loans will be deducted 30th or 31st. So they want to go and take it before. So I was talking to somebody, an insider in a bank. He was telling, and I said, anytime they are about to pay salaries, the USSD code, it doesn't work. And he said, yeah, it's intentional. It won't work because people move their money. So they make sure that those few days when they are processing salaries, they are able to run the loans. They are able to, the deductions are, because they are also set at a particular date. They are able to take them. These lapses can happen in the system. So DHL, they need to rely on technology that is what? Closer to what? Their business their business. And that's what the banks are also trying to do. Okay. Yes. So in our explanation of what information systems are, we said that the system will do what? It will pick raw data and transform it through a number of stages into something what? Valuable. That process, the input, processing, storage, and output process, we can refer to that as what? The business information value, the business information value chain. But we are saying that when we do that, when we process data or invest in technology, we need to invest in something else. Otherwise, the overall benefits of the technology will not be realized. So in our organizational settings, can someone give us an example of technology being introduced in an organization and it never worked? Well, people are not using it. It's there, but nobody's using it. In an educational setting, a typical example would be there is a resource management system, but when results are published, they go and put it on the notice board. Why would they do that? Probably because when they invested in the student management system, they didn't make any investment in terms of student access, right? Yeah, maybe something like that. Anybody who can give us an example for organizational level? Technology has been, when they virtualized a lot of the processes at the ports initially, they were making a lot of political capital out of it, but after a while, a lot of the things went back to almost normal before things picked up again, because people realized they were making a lot of money and they cut that, so they were frustrating the process and taking their kickbacks. So if you don't invest in the staff involvement at the beginning, you don't send them on trainings, you didn't gather their requirements, they didn't make any input. When you even brought it back, you didn't take them on training. Maybe the trainings were there, but the boss, because it's an overseas training, the boss decided to go. When the boss came back, nobody was trained. Now technology is there, no one can use it. Yeah, largely on the motivation. You know, in our local context, the motivation factor counts a lot in our motivation in terms of the, yes. So we are saying that, exactly, you frustrate it. And usually, because of the nature of the public sector, a lot of the pay to public sector workers are low. The kickbacks are high. And because they serve as supplementary income. If you are bringing technology to stop the kickbacks, people fight it. So what can you do to stop it? What can you do? Incentives, right? Yeah, incentives. Even if it's not going to be increase in pay, at least quarterly, people can go on CPDs, trainings. When they go on the training, they get some 2 or 3 nights per diem. They live in a place where they wind down, come back. They feel part of the system. But if none of that is coming and there's reduction in salary, no, they won't do it. The worst case scenario is the training has come, it's factored in, but the big shots take the training opportunity and they go. Meanwhile, when they come back, they will not serve as trainer, TOTs. They won't come and train there. Yeah, they will just come back and be as if nothing happened. And they expect that you will work. Oh, yes. GRE. Yeah, GRE is one. I have some real life examples. So we're saying that complementary access are assets that are required to drive value from a primary investment. This time, the primary investment we are considering is what? The technology. Because of the nature of this course, the technology is the primary investment. So you need to invest in assets, additional assets to derive that. And we refer to those assets as what? The complementary assets. Sending people on training, investing in training is an example of a complementary asset. Other examples of complementary assets are organizational assets. So maybe your business was physical, purely physical, or the processes within your organization or office was physical. If you want to virtualize it and now make sure a lot of things are done online, the amount of money you invest to changing the processes from face-to-face to online, adopting a new business model. When you invest in that, you are investing in a complementary asset. So you would have had hardware and software, everything there, but the processes, then efficient business processes. The business processes in an organization, some of them can be very redundant. They can be redundant, such that they are just there because of tradition, but they don't contribute anything. Some of those steps or processes can be what? Skipped. If you introduce technology, the technology will help in what? Skipping those steps. So, and your processes will become more efficient. Managerial assets. Maybe you have brought a new boss. You are now the head of a department, and you bring in innovative ideas to change the way things are done. The organization should not just sit back. They should incentivize you. So if leaders bring in innovations and they are compensated, that compensatory package is a complementary investment. Yeah? So somebody can come in and say, okay, we now want to deliver our lectures virtually in UDS so that whether you come or you don't come, you should be able, and we invest in some technology, but we don't have the people to help do it. The technology will be there, but people will join and they can't hear anything. They can't do anything. Teamwork and collaborative work environments. You invest in, you pay a lot for internet connectivity in your organization, but your email, there's no organizational email structure. No Zoom account for virtual collaborations. Nobody knows how to use Google Meet or Microsoft Teams. You are paying a lot for internet for data every month in your organization. Meanwhile, when you want people to collaborate, because the boss is in Accra, somebody is in Boku, somebody is in Tamale, you will say that, wait, next month we'll hold that meeting. But you could have just leveraged on the technology, and you will be able to have those who are physically present, those who are absent can join. The work can go on smoothly. And then the last one, social assets. Examples of social assets are the internet and telecommunications infrastructure. Who owns the internet? That's difficult to say. But in our local context, the critical players are the internet service providers. Yes. So if the country invests in social assets, they will be what? Come complementary assets. So the country can go and bring a whole lot of things. The Ghana Post, the thing, street naming. You can fill your passport stuff on, you can apply for passport online. Meanwhile, the internet is not working in the country. So how can you you can't do a lot. Okay. Any question? Now, I want us to look at it from a specific angle, from the accountant's point of view. Traditionally, the factors of production are capital, labor. Land, yeah, factors of, right? Because of development in technology, some are arguing that IT, information technology, or even just information, should be considered as a critical factor of production. Because without it these days, you cannot work optimally. It's an argument by some researchers. So for accountants, we want to consider information as a type of what? Asset, which we refer to as the information asset. And an information asset will be any asset that creates value for any information, kind of information that creates value for an organization. We will refer to it as an information asset. It can be structured or unstructured. Maybe the organization has got structured databases, or maybe even the emails they get, consider it very valuable. Reports they prepare, all of that. So when we say information asset, we are not only just talking about whatever is contained in the balance sheets. An organization's trade secrets, they are very valuable. An employee in an organization could just move to another rival or competitive organization and sell a trade secret, and it can lead to the collapse of, it can lead to trade. So that would be an example of what? An information asset. That is why sometimes people work in an organization for a very long time, and when they want to leave, the organization will say, no, we can't let you leave. How much do you want? Yes, because the kind of information this guy, if we let him go, it can lead to what? Our collapse. Information assets. So information asset has got a lot of characteristics, non-rivalrous. It can be used simultaneously by multiple users. If you are an accountant, you would have come across the term users of accounting information. The same accounting information used by creditors, used by debtors, used by tax authorities, and many, many others. So they can all use it. It doesn't mean that if one user of accounting information is relying on it, the other person cannot use. And they are not only, they all don't rely on the same piece of what? Piece of information. And non-depletable. When they continue to rely on information as it doesn't finish. It doesn't finish. But that is that can be a bit controversial. For instance, if it's a trade secret. Are trade secrets non-depletable? They are depletable. If you share a trade secret, which is an information asset, to another organization, you will collapse. You have lost it. You have lost it. So it's not entirely, it depends on the way you explain it. Then information assets are also synergistic in nature. Anytime we are talking about synergy, we are talking about the concept of what? 1 + 1 is equal to 3, not 2. It means that if we combine individual efforts, the output or strength, the output will be greater than if we were to do it what? Individually. The combined efforts will be greater. So synergistic nature of information assets. The value increases when combined with other information. What about those who are in the area of procurement? Those in the area of procurement, information asset in supply chain management. We refer to valuable data and knowledge. So look at this. Look at our use of words has become very careful because of the foundation we have laid. Valuable data and knowledge that enhances procurement and supply chain operations. And that can include supplier data. For some organizations in the supply chain, supplier data is crucial information. You let your competitor know your suppliers and the terms under which you are dealing. They will go and offer better terms and outcompete you. Market intelligence. Market intelligence. Sometimes they know there's going to be a shortage, but they won't let the rivals know that there will be shortage. They will just keep it because they want to leverage on that to make bigger profit. And demand forecast as well as inventory levels. All these are information assets when it comes to supply chain management. Typical examples of information assets in procurement and supply chain management. So supplier profiles. As you gather, this time, public procurement, they say you cannot do anything unless you go and register with what? You go and register on is it the Ghana platform or whatever? Yeah, you have to register. You have to register before you can do that. If a competitive organization gets a dossier of your suppliers and they have been supplying to you in a very cheap, on cheap terms, they can go and rely on that. Historical purchasing data, also an information of what you have been buying over the years. It can inform the trajectory of what? Your business. Demand forecast, as we have indicated here, inventory levels and movement data, logistics and transportation information, market intelligence, contract and compliance information. Let's look at this one, contract and compliance information. Despite the Public Procurement Act, some organizations still procure without it. And they will find a way. I've experienced that here. They will find a way to ratify it. They will go after the procurement has been done, and they will now cut corners to make sure they legalize it. Compliance. They say no one can buy anything at all we are going to buy. They say procurement, even to the extent that we want to provide our students snack. Yeah, sometimes I just look at some of these compliance issues and I'm like, what's happening? But all these are to all what we would do. If we do it for a very long time, they will serve as precedents in the supply chain to do a number of things. We can also base on that historical data to inform our strategy going forward. Okay. Then finally, for any organization to be interested in technology, they must be doing so for a strategic objective. There must be a reason why they want to. There must be a reason why. Some of these reasons we are going to mention, you know them already. So I'm going to throw it to you. Why do you think an organization would be interested in investing in information systems? So firms invest heavily in information systems to achieve 6 strategic objectives. What are they? Yeah, competitive edge. They want to do better than they are. Yes. Yeah, they want to do it better. Efficiency. Any other? Yeah, profit. Yes. Any other? Productivity, efficiency. Yeah. Any other? Customer satisfaction. Yeah, so when your customers are happy, what will happen? They will come back. They will give you referrals. Yes. Just-in-time deliveries. Yes. Just-in-time deliveries. They call it the JIT system. Yeah. Just-in-time deliveries. Yes. All of the reasons we are given can be grouped into 6. 1, operational excellence, new products, services, and business models. You want to now go online. That's a different business model. So you can invest in technology to go online. You want to introduce a new product. Somebody mentioned competitive edge as well. You want to introduce a new service, so you leverage on technology. Then customer and supplier intimacy, also very important. Then competitive advantage, which is a topic on its own we'll look at. For me, in this current global competitive environment, survival is very important. It's key. Yeah. Not even competing with others, but just to be in existence. We can name several businesses that, because of technology, they have collapsed because they were not able to adopt and adapt to changing technologies. Give me some examples. Blockbuster. Yeah. Okay, our local context. When we're growing up, in the evening, we'll go and queue and enter and watch video, right? Yeah, they haven't innovated. So those houses are still there, large compounds. But some have innovated, invested in digital satellite, DSTV, and even during the day. When we were doing it in the night, during the day, whenever there's football, film, they can, innovation. Apart from that, enterprises that have been very reliant on technology, if they don't innovate, they easily collapse. Example, banks. Now, when you open an account, you want to find out, can I access my balance? Can I transfer? Can I do this? Yes. Any other? Education. Education. Yeah, now educational institutions are running a lot of their courses online in modes that traditionally we would consider. I remember some time ago, the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission did an audit, and our colleagues who had online masters and PhDs, they said no, they won't accept. Yes. Yes. Tattoo here. Our senior colleagues there, they said online PhD, no, that's not PhD. But it's not even up to 10 years. And organizations are advertising online. They say they are doing it online. You can be here, university in America, you pay everything. Maybe once a while you just go and come back. You do everything largely online. Even here, we are doing it. Yeah, we are doing it. Our MBA programs, there are instances, some students, we have never seen them unless it's time for what? Exam. So last year, when we introduced a lot of our programs to be run virtually, someone called me and asked me, you say virtually? I'm interested, but will the exam also be online? I said, no, the exam cannot be online. It cannot be online, but we are also moving there. If you go to the University of Ghana, they do exams online. Yes, but when you choose your time, maybe it is Monday to Friday, exam period, so you choose your time. But when you go, the questions you will see, you won't see it. Yes, when you go, the questions would be, they will change, but still the same topic, the same topics. If it's multiple choice, it's question number 1. If the answer is A, yours will be question number 2, and your answer may be C. So if you copy it and go there, and we're also getting there where we'll be able to do that. Yes. So survival is very, very, very important. Okay. Any question? Any question? This brings us to the end of our introductory session for today. So I'll go back to my questions and I'll ask. Even without you referring to anything, what are information systems? Yeah. So the key word there for us is they are a set of what? Interrelated components. Yeah? That capture data, transform it, and support us in making informed business decisions. The components are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Components can be split into IT, technical, and then procedures. People are, yeah. When we say socio-technical, so one thing I've asked in the exam is, using the socio-technical perspective, explain what information systems are. You see? So I'm saying explain. So it's not like undergraduate where I would say define information systems. The social, and give appropriate examples. So you will now go and say that information system consists of several components. Yeah, so the components are hardware, software. So the hardware, software becomes the technical, the people procedures become the social, data becomes the bridge. Interplay between these components makes it what? Socio-technical. Practical example. For instance, if an organization is going to introduce technology, those who are going to use the technology must be consulted first, so that their requirements in terms of what the technology should do, how it should fit into their business processes must be understood before you now go and acquire the hardware and software, so that when you come, acceptability will be there, you will be able to use it, and there will be what? A broader uptake of it. Another question is, why would an organization invest in information systems? And these are, yeah, these are it. So even with this, even if you don't read, at least you would have that basic idea. So why is information important to accountants? Yeah, no, not the same as this. But why is information important to accountants? Yeah, it's important because information can serve as a complementary asset, not so. Also, if you look at it from the perspective of the factors of production. Are you getting it? Information can be what? Very valuable. And then you go back to the information asset stuff we looked at. Yeah, you see, yeah. All right, so that brings us to the end of today's session. So, assessments. So, I would give a 10 paper. So it will be group assignments. Maybe by close of the week, where by then we would have gone halfway or more than halfway. So I'll find something. The procurement would have groups, then the accounting will also have groups. So maybe you are not many, so maybe 2 or 3, depending on how you see it. Then you work on it. At the end of the session, then you submit. Yeah, submit to me. All right, thank you very much. So, on your platform, yes. Also, my lecture, the videos, I'll share a link. Or Muda will share the link to the recorded session if you want to listen to it again.